how sporadic these matches can go and how open, basically, the leaderboards can be.
Similar rotation route as we saw from Gear Up, so I wonder if there's going to be a clash in towards this, maybe a quick look towards the compound, but hard to scout, so a blind pull-up could be disastrous already. BSD just waiting on the other side, that could be a death. It is. Rip9 gone down almost instantly. No trade coming in either as Schofield's got his back, that's Apocalypse gone. And yeah, the blind pull-up just did not go well. Instantly out of it. SMB, not the start you're looking for.
No, not when you're in 15th place and your placement in the third and final map of Miramar only matches your kills throughout this weekend thus far. 16 for those, 16 frags total. It's not been a good weekend, sadly, for SMB. Now they will have to go to Erangel and try and just, you know, that, again, comeback mechanic. It's not necessarily about where your position is on the leaderboard currently. It's about where it is once this competition's done. And 2 wins back-to-back could win you this entire thing, but that is easier said than done. The percentages of that happening seem to be extremely, extremely finite and minute. Heroic's position on this has been pretty big. They've taken a really wide berth when it comes to map control. They did have 4 players evenly split out, but now they moved it back into a 2-2, so they'll take the top side of just outside Impala, a little bit down below it. Liquid's just in front of them, so they'll be blocking people in to the main city. At least that's the one thing and the one good governance that they're kind of going to be controlling from that side. And I understand why when we look at the kink in the road, how it runs round, the amount of times that we get circles just ending towards where Liquid is now, the position that Liquid is holding.
Into the thick of it, as you're going to have Vanir just a little further south, so they could be the last team they try and pass, and I wonder if they're going to lose any players en route. Ooh, on the bit. Oh, yeah, cause that spin around. Hjort doesn't have any sights on the gun, but the irons will do okay. The AK caused the damage. You see now Exhalation living in the pockets down on the hillside. Keanu called to attention, but does receive a little bit of damage coming back his way. Instant aid, though. Flammy finds Daboom. And, well, Exhalation couldn't make it past that final team that was waiting, being Vanir, taking so much damage en route, so many eyes put towards them. As you highlighted, that eastern road running north to south, or south to north, however you fancy, is going to be the death of a few here. So, caution being aired by Liquid, going to fall away from that peak. Don't fancy overextending for this. They'll leave the fight between Vanir and Exhalation.
Keanu puts the nail in the coffin for Daboom. It's problematic, and you can already see why. Another challenger steps up from a distance. That would probably... Is that ENCE from the mountaintop? I think it is. Flashbang down. Flamey knows exactly where he's lurking, just off the side of the cliff. Yeah, both him and Keanu, to be fair, could just head peek it and go together. And if one goes down, they can get the trade-off on it. But they have to do it together rather than individually, otherwise that's really problematic. Circle moves completely away from water. And everything that we were trying to build, or I was trying to build about Liquid having a very, very good position here, it's now gone from good to being one of the worst, up on the edge of the circle. Now this is, look at this, this is really, really interesting here. You have the rock face that encompasses all around Los Leones. That's a big old head.
Very nice.
You have the rock face that encompasses all of Los Leones. That cuts straight through the middle of this circle. So the next one, in theory, should dictate which way we're going. We either go into the town center, and we have a good old fight. Hold on. Speaking of good old fights, Beamy. Finding gear up inside here. This will be a nice little stepping stone for Heroic to call home. Unless Clib calls for backup and the cavalry of Team Liquid arrives, they're like, no. We don't. Do we want to go here? Do we want to try and take this, boys? Is it worth it? And you can see there's a little bit of unjust in the call there. A little bit of wiggle room. Maybe we try and approach it. They're questioning which angle to take this one. So it's a very real possibility at this stage.
Yeah, it's really become quite a high chance. We'll see what the circle says. This is Beamy, the 1 HP madman, barely breathing.
What?
Able to take down 2 there. Well, the madman's rush on the other side didn't go so well. Maybe, you know, the teammate calling, he's lit, he's 1 HP. You're like, all right, fine. Actually, a whole of game, but BTM, man, for Vanir, they're like, geez, they're just a pest now. They're just hovering around us, all underhand flash, hoping to catch Keanu, which he actually does perfectly. BTM, what a flash from him. Oh, I thought he had the turn. It wasn't to be. Flammy does put him down, but there's still threats from up high. Zoom's a little further afield, but he's being tapped away at, so position is definitely noted, and Salik unable to get many angles that are going to work here.
Vanir really needs this clean, or as clean as possibly can be. They've been here for so long and held up against it. Exhalation now just dragging them down, sadly. You're onto Salik. All right, this makes it so much more viable and so much more easier. Zoom's forced to run. Nothing he can do. Sadly, the last man standing has to hold on for placement here. Won't be able to challenge this whatsoever. 3 players alive on the side of Vanir. Already losing 1. Again, it's detrimental. Now for Zoom, I'm wondering if he just does, you know what, stuff it, I'll try and ruin their chances. They've hurt some of my players, so I'll just sit around here and be a nuisance. I can't win this. Stuff it, I'll try and completely just disclose their chances. The circle, I mentioned, you have this huge ridge line, and it's pretty much landed slap bang on it. And we have this 50-50 chance. We're not there into it yet. It transfers on phase 4, but we get it early in phase 3. With the Western hard shift, we're going to Los Leones.
Yes, we are final member of Exhalation to full. But look at the state of Vanir. They're down to 3, couple of heals, but they're very late towards the circle, so they're going to be forced to the outskirts. But who isn't? Liquid, Na'Vi, TM, all early to hit those rotations. And Heroic trying to come into it, but Na'Vi already set up way earlier on. So already going to see Qwizzy being caught off on the way through. Don't know if there's a res available. Alya is closing that gap, trying to get up a little bit closer. Keep beaming away, and Alya will take the compound right next to where Qwizzy got knocked. Careful now, nades are already being ticked out by Beamy. Yeah, he's going to see that. Going to have to dip out real quick. Ali's like, no, shut the door, boys. Amowski spots out Page on the way in as well, but hoping he'll try and support them. But actually, Page might go for a split to pinch in towards Alya. Let's keep in mind, Na'Vi are quite split here themselves. Speaking of, DA coming in right towards Galacticos 2. Now, does Lyron stick around here, or does he make a bit of a move? He does. He tries to, at least, as Young does make the swing, costing Lyron his life. And, well, Galacticos probably a player here with this nade. Can't quite find him. He's going to shuffle away. But I don't know if there's anyone here who could save him.
Beam it. Could do the absolute perfect nade. Alya knows about it. Force her into the wall, so it avoids it for now. Second one to boot. Just going to skirt outside of it. Hits the roof side. Gorex is inside, so there is a potential for a res, but it's sketchy. It's not a clean res by any means, and they'll have to commit the smokes to get him, and time is a ticking. It goes down, it plumes, and Beamy's on the way in. Thankfully, Alya's got the eye off the ball for all but a second, which allows him to stick this. T-Bone could throw over another flashbang just to apply a little bit of pressure. This is an interesting one. And just so you're aware, you'll see ENCE start to fold in on the minimap down low. Thank you so much, observers, for showing this one. Vex was there to try and hold the cross of any last stragglers and late stragglers rolling into this. But unfortunately, he got met with full force from ENCE. It's starting to get a little bit messy for FaZe Clan. They've got a multitude of players to deal with. Gear Up is doing damage. Gustav trying to stabilize and hold the line. An amazing swing from Schofield. Takes down Buzzface. Gustav there to wipe them out and go for the resuscitation. But ENCE is already knocking at the door.
ENCE have to now make the play across. This is the best opportunity they're going to get a clean way in. You can see it in the vehicle. Squeaky's already there. Rustanmar's on the way. Tiikzu, though, still on foot. And I wonder if they're just going to try and leapfrog, but it's not just FaZe looking this way. It's all of game. The damage put down towards Diggory was caused by them. Now, yes, the rest can come down, but the position has been leapfrogged by ENCE, who can now keep FaZe back and then have to deal with whatever's over the side of that ridgeline afterwards. But the circle will be moving. Let's see where we're going. Right bang into the town. It is going to be a city side look to things. Who's got the tall compound? I'm wondering, is it Liquid or maybe Na'Vi? We'll have to see who's going to take the high ground here, take those tall buildings that do have good vision. Gustav can't make it away. Squeaky with a great turn, and we saw this happening. We saw it coming. Fuzzface living just down on the lower ground and not for long. They are done for. Capitalized on by ENCE. Really good timing from ENCE actually to make that move.
Oh boy, just sit back and take it all in. The aerial sky view will give us some sort of an ambient setting as to what's about to unfold here. The final map of Miramar for PCS 5. And we are in the city center. Not the outskirts, not the industrial. Smack bang city center. This is urban warfare. And we've still got 12 teams, 45 players alive. This is going to be hell in a cell. Sit back, get a drink, and watch this all unfold. Your team's in the city center at the moment that are in the middle. You're looking at Heroic. You're looking at Liquid. Liquid is not alone, though. You've got Na'Vi, BBL, VP, all within reaching distance of one another. ENCE is yet to make landfall, still coming off that southerly eastern embankment where they just finished off FaZe Clan, moving in behind Hall of Game. Up towards the north, you're looking at Vanir. Out towards the industrial, a little bit of a quieter area, not too much of a problem for now. But as you work your way to the northwest, QM, DA, while that may be the industrial, it will not be quiet. Those two teams are neck and neck on one another. If the circle closes forward, they will have to go toe-to-toe. This is, it's going to be fun. I don't mind city endings by any means, a few and far between, but my word, they would just become one big old player-by-player as teams just close on and ultimately turns into a death match. Na'Vi, QM, Vanir, TL, Heroic, all looking to stick a win on the board and get up there with the best of them.
It's very hard to make that cross. Oh, Ali has heard someone pull up now. You can see him just spinning around. He knows he could be in trouble here. It will be ENCE. I'll come back to that Liquid point in a second. As Norway Tiikzu starts clearing the first. Oh, he's got no idea. Alya. There we go. Peekaboo. Oh, it's not what he wanted. Alya's in trouble now. Yeah, there it is. Tiikzu on the re-lean. Finds him, flushes him. And the rest of Na'Vi aren't here. It's Heroic. But now, speaking of Liquid, they were in a bit of a split previously. Now, they've pulled themselves back into a 2-2. They had players across the road. I think it was Ibi who was across the road on the south, which could have been good if that circle sliced a little bit harsher, but it hasn't. It has gone towards the northwest side. So people like Heroic, Hall of Game, ENCE, and VP will now have to shuffle in a little further. This gets a little tricky, because keep in mind, that one main road that runs through the north side of Los Leones is just the death cross, because you've then got the open ground on the other side, the more open air area, like you're kind of seeing here. This is Vanir kind of further towards the east. They're going to try and pull up close towards this roadside as best they can, but Mellman's already going to find CodeMarco. Example now under fire as well. This is going to be where it all starts to fall apart, especially on the southern side, as everyone's trying to shuffle a little further forward, and even just the most minute movements can cost you an entire wipe at this point. Heroic receiving their own fair amount of attention in the east. That's from TM. Couple of nades, couple of denials coming out. mxey waiting patiently for Marco to try and make it on through. A little bit of a fire comes back. Example does find Mert, though. mxey is now in danger. They know it. BBL unable to find much out of this. As Ibi, he's caught an angle on it too.
Maybe somehow manages to get one from up high and knocks another player from BBL. This starts to get a little bit more difficult. Na'Vi working the way forward, but BBL is well and truly on red alert. Smash and Mert dying simultaneously. Now panic stations begin to unfold. Spyrro begins to jump into the mix with more tags on Na'Vi. These two teams have just been crushed together, and unfortunately every other team around them has just had their way. Momi goes down as mxey spots the cross. And this is all it is at the moment. Throw down your mollies, throw down all your throwables at the moment and try and catch them on the cross. We've seen several players now darting between these buildings, just getting caught off on the angles. And look at it. Look at the trajectory. Look at the different levels that people have to work with. Bottom floors, middle floors, rooftops. This is just insanity.
That's why I love these endings, man. They're fun to watch, but hard to play. Now, already Molly towards the roof. Going to keep anyone from being able to get Dannymon back up. Allow Heroic to go for the push. And in they go. Already going to try and close the gap towards Aimlol. And Heroic trying to do everything they can to get a little bit closer towards that center point. Push the building after the knock. Now, does Aimlol realize that he's got company? It looks like he does. Going to try and dip towards the roof that Molly has dissipated. So maybe a quick res could be up here. But does he know that Heroic have taken that compound completely now? He will be left to this roof and not much else after this. I do like where Liquid are currently residing. They are holding back that southern push. Hall of Game, Na'Vi, BBL, and a little bit of VP. But it looks like VP going to go for more of a western approach. Trying to avoid that fight altogether. Let's have a little look back here. This was probably the downfall. There's the nade. Oh, right to the feet. Couldn't ask for anything better.
What? I mean, that's preemptive to know they're up there and actually make it land as well. Well, they've stalled the approach. They've opted to go for the next building along. Leave the guys upside to be able to get themselves back on the feet. I suppose you don't have too much of an angle that you can look down into that building with it being much shorter. It leaves the players up top pretty much open to gunfire. We know when inside the building can at least use the fire exit. The circle keeps going towards the west, the industrial side. And the broken down garage is looking a little bit better for now. DA in a very prime 2-2 position. ENCE has moved its way all the way to the north. This gives them good leverage, and they can sit and chill for a while. BBL, while it may be down, it's not out just yet, and Spyro feels the full wrath of that. They will go for the commitment and solidify the point, the kill, the frag. How's he get through this one? Hall of Game, Godrilla. Okay. Straight onto example, and the commitment's there. They see it through, and Mellman's upstairs, basically just wondering what the hell he does. It's nothing. They push through. The second he looks away, they snap his face off. Hall of Game continue.
That's pretty devastating, right? Like, that's a bit of a stinger. DA could be doing some big work here. Keep in mind, they just got themselves that dinner. Could be presenting another bit of a snack for them. VP on the try to make the way. Oh, it's not good. It's not good. It's really bad. It's really bad, actually. It's gone very poorly. The cross is being watched. Enderlost. Yeah, nice work from him. In the game this time, looking real ready to go. Controlling the western approach. Well, I guess southern approach after the western shift. However, we look at ENCE. I want to talk about their rotation too. In the north here, they've slotted themselves in quite nicely. However, unresolved conflict towards the southern side. Liquid still holding the road, so BBL, Hall of Game, yes, they may fight each other, but the end boss will be Liquid waiting on the other side. And already you can see them just torn asunder. BBL have gone down in 10th, but Liquid need to time this right. They can't stick around too late here, Rich. They have to make their move as well eventually.
Yeah, they have to deal with this quick, and with 2 players falling, that does make it a little bit easier. If they can keep it clean and find Godrilla, the last player alive, up against the blue as well. He will be showing his hand any second. If they deal with it quick, they can move forward, but you do have Galacticos setting up directly in front of them. So far, they've been kings of the mountain when it comes toward Los Leones, but now the circle's not with them. They're going to have to fight for what they want to claim. I don't think the heels come off, and nope, it has not. So now they'll be able to turn and face the next piece of music, which will probably Galacticos, unless they've been watching early. They did send Jeemzz out to try and pre-scout this, so maybe they found an angle of approach that we don't necessarily know about. All 4 of Liquid will be pushing up, but we'll move back with ENCE. As you can see for ENCE, they are safe, but my word, that road is open, it's barren. Finally, Liquid do find Galacticos. A beautiful nade comes in to solidify Jeemzz. Headshot initially by Honor. Clib there to respond on Quepta. Now they can push through. Thunderlost, though, looking to shut this one down. Hasn't quite kept track of where Ibi is. A little bit of a wobble. Sadly, he gets shut down instantly. Ibi there to respond in kind. Clib back. Needs to get the heal. He's there with the smokes. They can support in tandem, but certainly not being
the
clean.
Timing. Honor's screwed. They're pushing this. They close the gap. He knows it now. Gets the gun out. He can't do it. Can they get the raise? I think they will be able to. No one there to push them. But Liquid just about keeping alive. Galacticos, I thought they had that one. And it just fell through their fingertips. I thought they could have put up a bit of a better stance. Liquid moving into the unknown, but no. Speaking of heroic, striding through the east. Now, TM are a little deeper into this, but very stacked up. You can see the smokes are just about keeping them out of the eyesight of the likes of maybe ENCE, Vanir, even a bit of question mark, potentially. Keep in mind, this area is a little bit more open now. It's slightly out of the city center itself. And more to those outskirts that could be so deadly, with just those crosses being the downfall, potentially, of some of these teams. Someone like question mark, someone like DA, very strong positioning, but can they make the most of it late game?
Surprised it's only Liquid that's outside of this circle, to be honest with you. Heroic doesn't have the greatest place in the world. I'm seeing shotguns, multiple shotguns actually, all going for the maneuver, and understandably so. It's one of those points within a game where it's all close combat and close quarters, so why wouldn't you? Vert nade, if that hits, that'll be just flaming fantastic. No, just drops a little bit forward. Liquid will have to commit all the utility to cross this road to make sure Fate doesn't stab them in the back. They are hyper aware of his presence, even to the point of hitting them with a nade. Be careful of the bold actions on Heroic as well. They are in dire straits up on the edge of this circle. Utility committed to try and just look at a doozy. He's got the nade in hand. He's been holding this the entire time, and now they're moving into it. The nades go down, and the bodies pile up. That is 2 down for Liquid. It leaves poor mxey with 13 HP and a mere dream to try and withstand the onslaught of QM, who were ready, willing, and more than capable of shutting down that push.
Great work from QM. Held their cards close to the chest. Now, it does mean that they receive a little bit more attention from DA than maybe they'd wanted. Pixel's already had a belter on MIRAMAR, not in this game. Remember what he did to Liquid, so DA showing they're warmed up today, but they're being somewhat protected by the likes of ENCE, Vanir. No one else can get close to them. DA take a big portion of the territory, but it is on the outskirts somewhat. Let's see how this now transpires as the circle will begin to close in. Everyone somewhat has a little piece of land to hold. DA are laughing. DA and ENCE are happy. Now, does Vard and Jembty make it back safely? I think there's enough of a bit of low ground for them to traverse around the outskirts where, for their sakes, I hope they don't get spotted. However, what does QuestionMark do? What does Heroic do? TM, they can just about compress in, maybe, but do you want to sit in this one little house in a tiny corner together, or do you want to try and get across the road a little bit? Vulnerability would be had in that scenario, though.
This is going to be crazy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Especially with that end building with Vanir and sharing residency, next door neighbours, and you've got TM who is slowly but surely working their way towards it. Heroic do have to pull through. Page on the shotgun, trying to get up close and personal. At this stage, it's probably the perfect time to use it, to be fair, but you do need to get to the wall first. Once you're up there, you can... Well, can hear it firing off at least, so presence has been noted straight through the window. First one falls. If he finds a second, that will be flaming beautiful. Knows exactly where he is, hits the deck. Just sees the back of the backpack.
You can see him.
You can see him. He's just waiting for him to show the rest of it. Morley in, but he's there on the pre-fire. Hyper aware of what's going on here, so they have to be super careful, super cautious. A player lurking in every single corner as he goes outside of the window, but the shot's there. The response from Aimlul is good, but Qwizzy instantly answers back. Mover has to hold the line. Two players of Heroic just come beaming down upon him. All this noise has been heard by the rest of the map, but nobody wants to move into it yet. So the fight between these two teams can slowly continue, but also there's time for recovery.
I'm looking at QuestionMark here. Can they use this time as well to move up from the south? I think they're just about in, but again, it's a little rough in what they're holding, but perfect chance for them to move in under the cover of fire coming in from the other side. And now we look at the center point. ENCE are quite close, DA are quite close. The problem is that everyone's going to run past ENCE. Now, QuestionMark, I don't think they have much cover to work with, but imagine we have 19 players. They'll probably have maybe 2 smokes each. This is about to get absolutely hotboxed in here. Like, no one's going to see anything. So now Beamy up on top, trying to use high ground maybe towards late game, see how long he can sit there for. But for now, you're going to see Mover still holding that low ground, making sure no one can cross. But that shotgun, the trendsetter of Fuzzface, showing how viable this thing can be. And especially in a situation like this, Page can clear these corners. But does he check it meticulously? Yes, he does, but he misses the shot. 3 more goes at it. The prone comes in, but T-Bone runs past the nade. Fate from afar, trying to make a next step forward. And look at them, the mollies everywhere. The smokes are in. DA trying to molly them out probably at this point, but they've made it just about to the wall. And that is huge moves from QM, but they still need to hold this. Nade's now going down right back towards them. Smokes litter the battlefield, Rich. This is going to be a nightmare to handle.
DA is just Hail Marying everything that they've got this way. Look at all these smokes. The whole battlefield is just shrouded in one big white cloud. Vard again, another nade goes in. So at the moment, they're just expending every single piece of utility that they have. And why the hell not? Try and disperse as many teams as possible, as many players, and then mop up whatever's left, because every single team is committing to the cause here. Body just falls off the roof, which is a sure-telling sign of what's about to unfold, as QM still hold back. Heroic and Vanir flying round the corner. This is the kind of mess that we are dealing with. Back to the blue, and still the smokes will keep pluming. QM somehow have all 4 players alive and kicking. This is an absolute disaster. This is a massacre in the center.
And no one can see anything. You ever seen the horror movie The Mist? This is it. You don't know what's on the other side. You don't know what's out there because you're literally next to players. You're literally, he just sees one. Surely he's just seen them. They're next to each other right now. This is insane. DA has the only bit of vision in this. QM are living in the smoke. They are just thriving in this. And look, I'm wishing the players luck. I'm wishing their PCs luck. There are so many smokes in this situation. And now Vard's found Dante. The shotgun's out. Vard unleashes it. This is wild from DA, holding that last bit of vision. The mollies now come in, though. Can they make it further forward? Flash is coming out. ENCE is still alive with 3. QuestionMark with 2. And DA with 4. PiXeL now hits the prone. Gonna have to try and deal with what's on the other side here. Aduzi's found Jembty. This is looking okay for QuestionMark. They're still doing what they can. Zhong's gone down to blue. PiXeL's now dead. QuestionMark are finding him. This is down to the wire. And QuestionMark somehow pull it out. I thought DA had that every day of the week. Let's watch this back again. Just run this back through Aduzi and Fate moving on up. Good flashes. DA was so blind, and Aduzi just holding down mouse one, Fate further ahead in this, and everyone just